Hi, everyone. I'm Carla, and I am so excited to be here with you all and one of the best, I think, in products, Joanna Sneed. And we're going to talk today about how we keep our customers at the forefront of our digital experiences, especially the award-winning Capital One app. Joanna, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do this chat with you. So why don't we start off with just tell me a little bit about what you've been focused on.
Yeah. Okay. So at Capital One, I work on the core customer experience, specifically for our mobile app. So some of the things that we've been thinking about is how do we evolve some of this core real estate that we manage for many different use cases across the company and help it evolve to meet our customers' needs and meet new business needs that we have.
That's awesome. And I know we're going to chat more about that later. And so you and I work you and I and our teams work like hand in hand every single day to make our customer digital experiences really awesome. And as you have been focused on innovating in the app at scale, in turn, my team has been focused on how we leverage data, including real-time data, to power some of the personalized and machine learning driven experiences in our app. So I am a senior director over what we call our intelligent experiences arm. And we lead things like which is our intelligent assistant, as well as some of our latest experiments into how we make the app more helpful for the customer through personalized experiences, something called the feed, which is essentially a social media feed in your Capital One app. And so, as you and I, we've been in digital for a while. We've been working on the app for a while and really just trying to continue to make it a really great experience for our customers. And of course, it's really hard to keep up with evolving customer expectations. And like the more that the industry evolves and things outside the industry evolve, the harder it is for us to keep up, especially in the banking world. So tell me a little bit about how you think about how we keep our app up to meeting our customers' expectations.
Yeah, this is a particularly difficult problem now, especially right now as we face uncertain financial times. Customers are really looking for certainty. And sometimes you find that in your mobile banking app in terms of always easy to find the things that you're looking for, consistency, reliability. But yet, on the other hand, customers' needs are also changing, right? So, how do you make sure that those fundamental things are like really great all the time, but then we're keeping up with the pace of needs? I think the best example that we have recently is it's no secret. Last year, we launched a new product, the VentureX product, and that required a whole bunch of changes inside our app and the app ecosystem in order to help customers spend in a new way with their new product. So I think it's a lot about really understanding the needs of the business and really understanding who your customer is in those moments. And then as you innovate, making sure that you still do the things that people value really well.
And
But
what are some of the things that people value?
I mean, like the number one feature that we're responsible for is making sure that customers can log in and see their account balances. The other number one feature that we're responsible for is making sure that the app works all the time. And then beyond that, right? Like, can you find everything that you're looking for? Is it intuitive and simple? Hey, Carla, actually, could you share a little bit more too about, you talked about your journey in our organization as
Yeah.
leading machine learning driven products. So why is that important?
Yeah. And I think it goes back to kind of your point around like customers expect us at the very least to be able to log in and do what they need to do in their banking app, as well as really make it personalized to them. And so what I mean by that is customers are bombarded with like a bunch of things that they need to do every single day. And a piece of that could be money or finance related. And so when a customer logs in, how can we basically leverage real-time data to understand what is the most important thing that they need to do at that moment, or that they need to see? And so some of the two key areas where I see like data-driven personalization be super important is, one is assistance. So customers are really looking for that personalized experience to understand, hey, I have a question. I'm not able to get it done in the app. I need help. And a lot of times the question is very specific. And so it's really important to use something like which is an NLU driven conversational assistant, to help them get the answer that they need, even if it does mean sending them to the phone number to call in to the call center. And then I think, as we've been piloting the feed, the other customer pain point that we see is we send customers a lot of messages asking them to do a lot of different things. So we're experimenting our way in the feed to understand, hey, how could we foreground the message that is most important to the customer to get them to accomplish what they need in a frictionless way, and also help them stay on top of their money with personalized insights. So, that it goes back to the like customers needing the brain space to really understand, hey, am I okay? How am I trending with my spending? And we're still asking them to do a lot of math when they come in. And so we want to help kind of circumvent that by leveraging the data that we have about them and really presenting them with, hey, here's how much, here's your spend trend for the past 3 months. Here are your latest refunds, things that will help them kind of short circuit some of the questions that they might have in their head. And so I think that's really where like the data driven and real-time intelligence comes in, is helping our customers even more from a simplicity and convenience perspective. So you mentioned something about like innovation at scale at the beginning. And so how do you balance simplicity and convenience with that innovation that we need to do as a team to keep up with customer demand?
Yeah, I think one of the key things that my team is focused on that enables that simplicity through innovation is a really great information architecture navigation, right? I think teams tend to get into the habit of like feature bloat. Like we're just going to add more and more stuff into the app. And sometimes that stuff is really important and we need it. But like, if you can't find it and you can't use it, then, if a tree falls in the forest, right, is that feature really worth it? Exactly. And so that's often like really where my team is focused in terms of like, how do we categorize the content that we have and make it really easy for customers to find? I will also say like something that product teams in general don't do really well, and I've really started to focus with my team, is what are the things that we're going to kill, right? Yeah. How many times do we just add and add? And I'm not positive that we're always like making things clearer or simpler or easier. So like, is there a way for us to get rid of a feature that isn't used anymore and replace it with something that's better? What about you? How do you focus on innovation, Carla?
Yeah, I think it does go back to are we solving for the customer pain point? And if they can't, it's like you said, like if a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear it? Like if we launch a personalized feature and no one can find it or use it, what's the point, right? And so it goes back to, okay, is this something that we need to solve for a customer? And how do we make it really easy for them to accomplish their goal? And so sometimes that doesn't mean that means not using real-time data, either because it's not available or it actually would be a ton more work with little to no extra value. And so like leverage, it's really important when you think about real-time intelligence. There are things that we just need to enable for the customer. So for example, within Eno, one of the top questions we've always gotten is, hey, I'm traveling. Do I need to notify you if I'm traveling? And right now it's, just provides the basic answer of nope, you're good. And that really helps the customer from a simplicity perspective. They don't have to call in, they don't have to dig around. And so like number one for us is how are we enabling the customer to accomplish their task? And then do we need real-time data? Yes, then, let's go down that path. Or what are the other things or ways that we can actually help the customer in a more simple way? And so like speaking of simplicity and just like the in like we've had like a huge goal of enabling the customer to do more and more digitally, which like you said, presents a huge findability problem. And so, like how do you balance kind of the needs of the customer and some of the needs we're seeing from the business side?
Yeah, it's funny. That's a great question. And it actually reminds me of before I worked at Capital One, I worked in a startup we were building a multi-sided marketplace for bankers and real estate investors and other personas. But I could have spent 100% of my backlog capacity just helping our agents, right? Like they had a really hard time. But at the time, based on where we were in terms of solving product market fit, we weren't there yet. And so I often had to say no to these internal stakeholders and business folks that like had really real needs. And so I think the most important thing to focus on in terms of balancing out your customers versus other business needs is really crystallizing the one metric that matters, right? I'm stealing this from the book Lean Analytics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is one thing that your product needs to do really well at a given period of time, and you just need to ruthlessly go after that, right? And so that requires you to take in a lot of information in terms of like, where are you in terms of developing product market fit or problem solution fit for that matter? Where are you in terms of solving your customers' needs or the business needs around you? But like the worst thing that you can possibly do is just like spread your backlog like peanut butter and try to help everybody and every stakeholder all the time. And just like, you gotta laser focus.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like I love the do one thing really well. Like what's the one thing you're going to go after that gives you a ton of focus. And so just like a simple question, how do you continue pushing and enabling your team to innovate at scale?
Yeah, it's at scale, it becomes even more problematic. Like problem number one is, we've got 100 million whatever customers that use our app or how we have very specific needs that they need help with, right? So most of my time is often like devoted to maintaining what would be the status quo, like make sure it doesn't go down, make sure everything works. And oftentimes in organizations, like the organization is aligned to a variety of different goals and metrics, right? And inherently, no matter where you are, there becomes some level of internal competition, especially for resources, right? And so then like innovation at scale and in an enterprise becomes even harder. So a couple things that I do that sort of help facilitate that is all of my teams have a very clear mission focus, right? So they're given a problem statement that is their job to go solve, right? It's going to require them to take in a variety of different inputs around the organization, but it's less about like, hey, your job is to run the home tab on our mobile app, right? And it's more like, hey, like this is a critical piece of real estate. What are the specific problems that this real estate is solving and how are you meeting those needs, right? And then from that, the team has gleaned some problem statements like, hey, like one of our jobs on the home tab is to make sure that customers really always understand their latest account information. Oh, well, actually, we should be taking advantage of the latest iOS widgets and building an account information widget. And so then that gives them the freedom to sort of innovate in their particular space, giving them defined boundaries. What about you, Carla? How do you handle innovation? You're in a very innovative space.
Yeah, I think I love the idea of innovate within your own problem space. And so we've taken a similar approach on the intelligent experiences side with like, we have kind of two big buckets where we innovate, which is the first one is intelligent assistance, and then the second one is insights. And so within that, like on the assistance front, we have been able to successfully mature our conversational assistant to be able to handle a lot of the self-servicing questions. And then, we've had a ton of lessons learned there where it's realizing that having a conversational assistant does not meet every customer's needs. And so like really thinking about how do we expand beyond while leveraging the capabilities that we built within the ML powered capabilities that could help us predict when a customer might have a question to complete a task, or even help us have a more intelligent discoverability or search experience. That is how we have been thinking about just personalization and just real-time data at scale. And I think for us, the biggest problem is that it is still an ever-growing and nascent space. And so some of the tools and technology aren't 100% there. And so we have been stair-stepping and basically doing a crawl, walk, run approach to innovation and personalization, where if we're able to get more data streaming in the way that we need to, then we can build models first in batch, then in real time. And we have like slowly been able to do more things at scale. But I think like the problem spaces where we really focus on is like, where are the needs so almost like unique to each customer, where we need a lot of this real-time data. For us today, it's assistance and insights. So
I really love that crawl, walk, run. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, it's like literally we've been crawling for like 2 to 3 years, but that's okay in machine learning, right? Like it's better to crawl for a long time than like make a huge mistake for our customer that loses trust of our customers.
Yeah.
So,
you're looking at one of the classic problems, right? Of like we've got this thing that is operating at scale, and now like we need to make sure that we're not harming that, like the machine that's in operation in any way. So
exactly.
That's why we have to crawl a little bit more before we.
Yeah. I think that maybe that's the key to like innovating at scale, is crawling for longer than like maybe some startups, which is totally okay. And like speaking of, I think because we are a highly regulated business and we need to care for our customers, the stakes are high in innovation. And so at times the getting from here to future state takes several years. And so, how do you keep your team focused on like enabling some of the tools or just the experiences we need that might take years to achieve versus, if we were at another company that wasn't as regulated, or even a startup that might take 6 months?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think often what happens is regardless of intentions, there tends to be this gravitational pull to big bang releases, right?
Yeah.
And so we can spend years and years and years focused on developing the most perfect solution to solve some problem, right? This time and time again, like I've been a part of many like code-based refactoring projects, which are really important. But I think that where we have sort of erred is breaking down the work such that you can get incremental value. I mean, like that sounds like an Agile 101 thing, but like it's easier said than done. Right. And so like, for example, in a recent like code refactoring project, we've really focused on like, what are the key deliverables that we're going to focus on, right? And so like some of it is like helping us ship code faster, which as a product manager, I care about because that's what I want. I want to be able to get more product to more customers sooner. Exactly. And so I think being able to show internal teams, internal stakeholders the progress along that way has been really helpful in making sure that there's a long enough runway for us to be able to get to the other side of like what that magical destination state is going to be. The other thing that I might say too is like, sometimes you have to be really intentional about like when you're going to take on like tech debt in order to get to the customer or business outcome that you want, right?
Yep.
And so like there are times that like we'll sit down as a leadership team and be like, okay, this is not like the most perfect architectural solution. We're going to do it anyway because we know that there's so much value for our customers in store that we're going to take that bite now and then, you know, come back and fix it later when 2 years we do get to that magical destination.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Just you know, because sometimes as a product manager, you can get into analysis paralysis and like getting to this perfect technical architecture, which is perfect, which is imperfect like the minute that you start working on it, right? Because there could be like something different or new or things like that. So I love the push on don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah. Well, hey, Carla, I actually, if you don't mind, I want to
Yeah.
steal the interviewer mic and maybe interview you for a little bit here.
Oh, all right.
So, so like one of the things that I really admire about you is that you really bring the diversity conversation into how we build products. And I don't know how many times I've heard you say, and this is a compliment, like that building great products requires a team of diverse people. So can you tell me a little bit about your philosophy and like how does it actually play out?
Yeah, no, thank you for that, and thank you for the compliment. I'll share a bit about me, just personally. So, I'm a Latina, and I kind of fell into product management. Like, I went to undergrad for journalism, so I don't have a technical background. And what I loved about product is being able to just kind of be at the center of solving like a real pain point for real people. And so, you know, what that means is we can't just have like the same type of people who talk the same way and think the same way and are from the same background, like working on a product that needs to serve a diverse set of people who have, you know, different needs and wants. And so I really took this to heart when we first started creating Eno back in 2016. We decided really early on to focus on two things. One, we wanted it to be an innovator in the machine learning space, in particular, natural language processing. And then secondly, we really wanted this to represent our values as a team and our values as Capital One. And so we made the decision to actually make Eno gender neutral so that we weren't perpetuating some of the stereotypes we were seeing with female or even male assistants back then. And so, you know, the reason I bring that up is I don't think we would have made that decision if we didn't have a diverse set of people at the table. And so what I mean by that is like diversity can come in different forms, from like socioeconomic backgrounds to race, to ethnicity, to even experience. And so our head of design back then came from Pixar. So she was really, really familiar with like character development and just really the importance of that. And our engineering head had helped create IBM's Watson for Jeopardy. So he had deep knowledge in kind of conversational assistance and like really bringing all of those types of people to the table and having what I would say some very uncomfortable conversations as to why that matters. I feel like made a really great product that kind of encompassed the diversity we wanted in terms of, hey, let's create a product that serves all customers, not just a certain segment of customers. And so, you know, for me, like I have taken that to mean like a great product team means like people coming from different backgrounds. So some of my product managers don't have pure product experience. Some of them come from product marketing. Some of them come from journalism. Some of them come from computer science. And that also includes just investing in people who are interested in product but might not have had the opportunity or background. So for example, like sponsoring a product apprenticeship program. And for me, like my personal mission is to open the door and kind of pull the next women and people of color who are interested in product management into the fold, because I think not only will the industry be better for it, but I think our products will as well. And I kind of want to like give it back to you in terms of, like why, how do you think about like diversity and in your product team and just like in products in general?
Yeah, the thing that I tend to think about most is sort of like skill set diversity, understanding that when you are talking about diversity, it is incredibly important to make sure that, like, as we're building a financial app that serves pretty much the entire United States, I need to make sure that we are a representative team around that. But I often think about the skill sets that we need to compose that great experience. And so generally speaking, like when we talk about like a great product manager at Capital One, we talk about somebody who's really into human-centered thinking, has a really great business acumen, and a really great blend of technical skills, right? And you don't have, like, sometimes we think about it as a triangle, right? Like you don't have to be an equilateral triangle, but you're going to be kind of spiking in different dimensions, and that's totally okay. But as I try to build a team, the thing that I'm looking for is how can I get people that spike in different dimensions, right? So I want to have somebody who's like a super strong technical leader, and then somebody who's like really great at the business skills, and then somebody else who's really great at the human-centered thinking. And then how do those three different sort of like archetypes fit together and work together to make a better product, right? And so a lot of times what that means is like I don't have a technical background either, right? I was a philosophy major essentially. But so that, like, how do those different personas or archetypes, I guess, really fit together to build something even more amazing than the sum of your parts?
I love that, because I think like one of the things, and I don't know if you hear this from junior product managers, but I almost feel like they think that you have to be a special unicorn, like that is like evenly perfect in like all three dimensions to be a product manager. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, well, the secret is that's not true. Like you just have to, like show up and like be willing to learn and curious. And I love that like you specifically look for, hey, like I need a very technical person, so I'm going to look for somebody with that skill set. And it's totally okay if, they lean more toward that than design or business, because they're going to learn it, or they have a peer that it like spikes really well there.
Yeah, I would definitely say like the pro tip, if you're that person that, one knows that you're not that magical, like equilateral triangle unicorn, that know where you do spike and how to amplify the areas that you spike, and then where you don't spike. Either know, are you going to invest or are you going to lean on others, or a combination of those two? So that's definitely like a little personal growth, like pro tip in there. But yeah, like, so then as you lead a larger organization, it's really important to think about like, what is the composite of those skill sets?
I love that. And speaking of pro tips, I know that you do a lot of like mentoring and giving advice to kind of the next generation of product leaders. So what advice would you give somebody either like wanting to enter product or who are in product today that want to get into product leadership? Like, what's the biggest pro tip that you could give them?
Yeah, I mean, like, I would probably say the advice that I can give is really just, and maybe this is cliche at this point, but like just obsess over your customer. Like you got to love your customer, and you got to want everything for that customer. And I will also say that, like, especially when you work in larger companies, or even like my case where I was in a startup that was a multi-sided marketplace, you're like, well, who's my customer? I have 5 different customer types, right? you still got to pick one and really focus on making that great. And then sometimes, like, especially in a multi-sided marketplace, you're going to have to like move and change. And that's true even like in a larger organization. We have lots of different customer needs. But like right now, I have so much clarity on like which customer type I'm solving for and how I'm going to go make the app amazing to meet their needs. And so like just bring the passion, like especially around like helping your customer, and then everything else will fall into place. What about you, Carla? What's your advice?
Um, so first of all, I love that, like obsess over the customer. I think the biggest pro tip as a product lead manager is always be learning. So like one of the keys, so while it is totally okay to not be like full stack engineer or know how to code to be able to get into product management, the most important thing that you can bring in a product is curiosity and a willingness to always learn. So I didn't know anything about machine learning when I embarked on the journey in 2016. And look at me now. Yeah, I've got like multiple machine learning models out in market. And so it's really important to like show up passionate every day, like you said, about solving a customer problem, and then just learn as much as you can, either from others, from documents, from conferences, from articles, from whatever, to really help you kind of stay on top of, hey, like what is happening in the market today? What technology is coming out that could help our customers in the future? And like you said before, having that focus of like, I'm going to solve this one thing for this customer really just frees you to do that.
Yeah, can I plus one you in a couple of different ways? Maybe I'll plus two. Yeah. Okay, so the number one question that I get asked by a new product manager is, oh my God, I'm not technical. How do I do all this technical stuff? Like I probably like if I got $1 every time I was asked that, I'd be very rich. But my answer is a couple things. One, treat the technical stuff like you're in art appreciation class. Like nobody's gonna ask you to code unless you're in a very different company. But that's totally fine. But like you just need to know enough where you can have sort of a conversation with an engineer around like what's important and why is it important. So like what is it and what's the value, right? And so when you show up to be like, hey, I don't know what a lambda is. Can you tell me what a lambda is? Like, why does this matter? Why is it important? Like, there are going to be so many people in your career that are just like so excited that you want to learn, and like take your favorite engineer out for coffee, and just learn everything you can. The other way that I was kind of thinking I want to plus one you is like always be learning, not just on the technical stuff, but like on everything that kind of comes together to solve the customer problem, right? Like you're going to fail. You're not going to hit it out of the park with your MVP, right? Like there are going to be times where you launch something and it sucks, right? So like, how are you learning from that? There are going to be times where you accidentally put your foot in your mouth in front of a colleague, right? So how do you learn from that too? And so like bring a growth mindset, not just to the technical things, but to like how you show up every single day. And so I really, really like always be learning. ABL.
Yeah. Exactly. ABL. Well, cool. It was a pleasure like chatting with you today, Joanna. Thank you so much for your time, and everyone enjoy the rest of Denver Startup Week.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.